Well, this time we've got a rather immaculate Fidelity 2000, which is Cybernet 134. These have the bigger speaker, one of the more desirable sets. And for some bizarre reason, some people think that these are a no-good set, a bit like the Fidelity 1000. And yet it's the same as a Harvard 420N, Rotel 230, etc. Absolutely bonkers. And you get the bigger speaker. One of the best sets you can have. It's come in routine service, and it's so immaculate. On this occasion we will pop this dusted on the bench. He has sent a mic in. It's one of our regular trade customers who usually sends Amstrads in. What we're looking for. That's what we're not looking for. Ah yes, the power lead. So high-low power switches on the back on these sets. Let's plug in the extension speaker into the PA socket, and the test instrument speaker into the extension speaker socket. Power supply on at 13.8 volts. We'll switch the set on. Oh, that's a proper channel for it to be on. Gentleman's in Norfolk, if I remember right, so he's about 120 miles from me, so I don't think he's going to pick us up on that channel. Let's get the clipboard. He says one of these sets he's got had a new phase lock loop chip. I don't think, you know, it doesn't matter either way if it's nothing dodgy there. I'll take the other lid off, but it looks right. Right, here goes. Channel 20 into transmit. Let's put picture in picture on. We're on the 3 watt scale, and just need to plug the test instrument aerial in. He's doing more than 3 watts, he's doing 3.1. Channel 40, he's doing 3 watts. Let's guess channel 1's doing 3.2. He's doing 3.1. Back to channel 20. I'm starting this at 6:30 in the morning because I want to get on the air testing, and Mr. Chippy's on business later on in the day, so it's 924 milliamps. So you know that it needs coming up from that. Low power somewhere on the back. There we go. And the radio is doing 260 milliwatts. See, I'm not woken up yet. For what it's worth on this test set, the deviation, wallow, so it's 2.2. We'll do that on the other test set later. We're going to do the VCO. Test gear's only just gone on. So let's have a look at the frequency. Take this with a pinch of salt with it, only it needs to be on half an hour. It's been on 10 minutes. 27790991. I would think that's probably going to come up to 27791110. So we do need to bring that up. I'm going to set it to, because we're going to do the tuning right now, I will set it to the correct frequency right now, and then we'll adjust it later before the radio goes back. On transmit, the meter says 4.5. The meter lamp works. Let's see where the PA works. There's a mic going on. Let's see. Testing 1 2. Yeah, that works great. They work. That works. Those work. That works. Right. Let's have a look at receive. Well, we'll set the signal generator for now to what we've got, 27790991. That'll do. Let's see what we've got. Go to SINAD meter. That's 0.35. So it's excellent. I doubt we're going to get better out of this. 0.28. For 20, 0.9. Full squelch needs to be, I want it to be 100. Let's put the attenuator up. I want it to be 100, so we're 1, 3, 10, 30. It's coming in too early. See exactly where it is. It is 27 microvolts, so it's not tight enough. And the opposite one, for threshold, set that on the radio, signal generator back on, 0.47. So it is a nice working set, but it's got one or two things. It'd be nice to bring the power up. These radios are supposed to do 3.8 watts according to the service manual, but they will do 4, 99.9% of the time. Right, let's have a look. So because he said, is this the one with the phase, he's actually asked me, is this the one with the new phase lock loop? I will turn the set off and we'll go to the trouble of taking the other lid off to see if we think it is. And if it hasn't been cleaned with isopropyl, well, we'll do that. And then we'll have to leave the set to dry. We have got to, so we're doing the Midland base station, waiting for a part for the power supply. Now this hasn't had a change of, just put another pair of glasses on. No, it's absolutely as it came out of the factory. So just zoom in, just for the record. So you can see my trimming tools on the floor. You can see that it's never been disturbed. It's not just a matter of it's being cleaned, it's never been disturbed. That's just as it's come out of the flow solderer. So it's not the one with the different phase lock, with the replaced phase lock loop. Always get these on the wrong way. So put this back on because it can affect the tuning, capacitive effect and all that. Oh, I don't know why that one doesn't want to go in. Not bad for 40 years old. I won't be here in another 40 years, but you know, I don't think the current radios are going to be lasting, a lot of them aren't going to be lasting above 7. We've had this with some of the earlier TTI sets. They were going microphonic within 3 years. So the slightest bump and rattle and it was coming through on receive and transmit. And what we were doing, bearing in mind the surface mount, is to put a tropicalisation varnish, spraying it into the VCO when those sets were new. Because what was happening is the ceramic capacitors in the phase lock loop section, which again are all surface mount, is it hygroscopic when they start absorbing moisture and becoming microphonic. So if we'd got a situation like that in the set like this, you know, if they were all playing some game, what you'd do is you'd change the ceramic capacitors which were affected for ones which were a monolithic dipped one. They dipped in a epoxy resin, and so they don't absorb moisture. So there you go. But when it's surface mount and the way it is, you couldn't really be changing them for better. So that's what we were doing. I bet TTI were really cross that we were making the sets last longer. Right, we'll need to do the VCO, and as ever, I can't remember, and so we'll get the meter. This is so overlooked by people, and it is so important on this chassis, but it's especially important on the Cybernet 002 chassis, which is the one like you see in the genuine Amstrad. I'm not saying they all drift, but temperature extremes and all that. I think we start on channel 40. Let's just check with my things here. So it's channel 40. So we start, it's, should change glasses again, got 3 pairs here. Test point is resistor 4 far side, it's supposed to be 4 volts, and does it tell us it's received first? Yes. So the coil is the receive, so we've got 4.3. There we go. So that's now 4. Going to transmit. Especially if I tell the test set we're going to transmit. Oh, look at that. It's 4.0. That's fine. So if it wasn't, we'd adjust the red trimmer just there. Then we go to channel 1 and we check that it's between 1.8 and 2.5. Well, that's our receive and that's our transmit. So little tiny bit of an adjustment there. So it was I've forgotten already. .3, wasn't it? I think put 4.4 plus 4, and it's now 4 plus 4. Right, let's go through the transmitter. I'll tell you what, we'll put it on frequency. You can always change it again. I'll just see what we say. 27, back to channel 20, I'm glad I noticed that. 27,79093. Just pop it onto frequency if it'll go. Right, here goes. So we need to check the transmitter is lined up to the centre of the peak. Put the multimeter away. So that was already correct. That was already correct. Not like some of these car mechanics who whistle through the teeth and I'm on the wrong camera. And whistle through the teeth. Oh, I don't know who looked at this last time. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And if it's already correct, I tell you it's already correct. But I tell you what, something isn't correct for it to be doing 3 watts. So we'll use the blue tool. So we need to temporarily get the transmitter into absolutely full whack, and you've got to be quick, and you've got to be because the transmitter can't support the power it may do. Some of these will do 5.5 watts, but they're only going to do it for a few minutes before destroying themselves. And I've said this before with the Pi Olympic M201 business two-way radios back in the 70s. When I was at Nottingham Radio, you had to tune them. Mr. Smith, the boss, would say, "Oh, you need to tune it for full smoke." And the transistors in the PA were something like 45 watt capable, but they were a 10 watt radio. So you can imagine turning this 10 watt radio up to 45 watts for about 8 seconds to quickly align the transmitter, because there would be smoke coming out of it. And the reason they had a 45 watt capability, but they were a 10 watt radio, is so that they were reliable. That's why these have usually got a 5.5 watt capability. So peaking that, we're now at 4. Peak the second one, still the same. Peak the third one, now at 4.5. Go back to the first one there, check it's still peak. You see, it wasn't quite. And now check these are still peak. You see, getting a slightly different result. So this needs to really be able to do 4.4 watts to balance it properly. This particular one is doing 4.6. So now we turn the yellow one on the left clockwise for 4.4 watts, which is there, and then we turn the green one anti-clockwise. Now the service manual says 3.8 watts, but we're in the UK, and like most countries it's a 4 watt limit, and so I'm not going to set it for 3.8. So there we are, bang on the 4. And I've said many times before, the power meter on this Marconi test set is such that it is selective. So it's only looking at the power coming out of the radio at the frequency we're wanting. Most power meters will read all the power of the interference as well. And then you've got the hobby meters that tell you that this is about 8 watts. Ooh, it's 8 watts. No, it's not. Right. Four watts on channel 1. 4 watts on channel 40. Channel 40 we could say 3.999. Right, low power. Let's set that up. So it's now doing 100 milliwatts. It doesn't feel right. Shouldn't put that bottom on, should I? Sometimes these want cleaning, those presets, but this one, it's kind of nasty. I think it's our last one in stock. These are right fun to order. Yes, it's the last one. When we know where it is, that is. We'll tip that out later. Right. I'll put 2 screws in for now, ye of little faith. Right, back to the question. Transmit. That's better. I think got a cracked track. It was only capable of doing 400 milliwatts at the absolute maximum. I don't know. They often play up there on these, on this chassis. That's our transmitter done. So low power preset replaced. Our transmit current is now, well, we're on low power still. Our transmit current is now 1.098. It's very efficient. And some do take 1.4 amps to deliver this. Deviation we're going to come back to, but I just want to make sure that that preset is in its vertical position. I'll tell you what, we'll just set it on this test set and then we'll check it at the end with the other test set. Wow, it's actually right at that on this test set. Tell you what, let's get it out of the equation. We'll plug it into the other test set right now. Put the other glasses on. See what it says. Whoa, it's a bit high, you see. Let's make sure my gain is at full. Whoa. That's it. So it was probably exactly spot on the way it was, because I was reading 2.2 on the other test set, which was reading low. If we look at this test set now, it's probably reading high. Wow, look, it's still reading 2.2. So the capacity needs changing in the deviation meter part of this. The AM modulation meter is fine and everything else is fine, but I'm too close to retirement age to take this off the bench. So it's not getting done. We just use the other test set on the bench behind. Right, so it was correct. It was peaking at 2.5, so that was already okay. But I needed to have this preset in its vertical position to get the mic sensitivity right, so that affected it. We'll check that again right at the end. Meter, well, it was being generous, wasn't it? So now we've actually got 1 watt more out of the radio. It's going to be even more generous. So when I key up, banging across, so I need to turn that down. So it's now reads exactly 4. At least it has a power meter, not like modern sets where it's pre-programmed bull. Right, receive, which is already excellent. I'd be surprised if I get an improvement on the receive. So what was up with it is done. Right, we'll start with the detect. I'll put 100 microvolts on the signal generator. If I turn the RF gain down, have I plugged on iffy? Or have we got a... Yeah, I think we've got a situation where the... Let's turn the volume down, it's annoying. I think we've got a situation where the socket inner is probably sprained. We get this sometimes, don't we, when Mr. Chippy says, you connected up properly? I'll have to put the other glasses on. So they open up and lose the springiness. Right, so that's back being right. So yep, still receiving really well. 100 microvolts. Let's get the detector adjusted. It's out. Right, we'll go to the SINAD meter. So sometimes when that's out, you can end up with the set being more sensitive than it really is. So we could end up, now we've adjusted that, for the set to be actually deafer, but not garbled anymore. Let's see what happens. So we've got about 4 dB on. We want as little signal as possible so it isn't saturated. Oh, that's miles out. That's bonkers. There's a tiny bit out. That was spot on. Now we put the signal up a bit and look at the IFs. That was spot on. Minutely out. And the one down there. Spot on. Right, we'll get a new reading. So for 12 dB, we've got 0.22. We'll only see that on Barnett 5 stars. They're all capable of doing it. It's just below 0.2, but if I change scales, we lose accuracy, so we'll put it down as 0.2. And our 20 dB is 0.67. So let's set the S meter. As far as that base station goes, the 76900, I think we'll put it out as a part 1 for what I've done. Because I've done the set, it's power supply issue. Its internal power supply after rebuilding it is only doing 10 volts, and I tracked it down to a Duff Zenner. I hadn't got one, it's 5.6 volts. I hadn't got one in stock, I've had to order one. So, right, let's get that up to where it should be. For S9, trimming tools to come out. There we are, S9. So it was actually I didn't note it, did I? That's now correct. He was reading S8. Anyway, it's done now. And that leaves us with squelch. So let's put this on the attenuator. Squelch to full. Now before it was opening at 27 microvolts. Now it's going to be different because the detector affects the squelch dramatically. So here we go. 1, 3, 10, 30, 100. It's exactly where it should be. It's come right without adjusting it. So it was the detector which was making it silly. So I'm not touching the squelch preset which is there. It's now come right. It's the only thing which has come right. Let's turn the squelch down. And set. I've turned the signal generator off. We're now setting the squelch to threshold on the radio. Turn the signal generator back on. It's now 0.67. There. And there you are, you get the bigger speaker. Don't get those in any of the Rotels. The same speaker used in the Midland 76900 base station. Half an inch bigger than the normal one. Is this the right way? No. Right, I'm going to unplug the extension speaker. Yep, the internal one's working. So I haven't got a clock in here, but I would guess it's about 7:30 in the morning. Let's see what good buddies are out when we plug it into our roof aerial for a quick test. So later on today I'll kind of do an extra part with the camcorder just to bring the 76900 video to a close. It's been in the can, so to speak, for about a month. So finally got the part because it needed a new display, and that had to be imported. So finally get that, and then I've done the set. I've already done the radio. Did it on the bench power supply, because I need to be able to monitor the current consumption. So by using an external power supply I can do that, whereas if we use internal power supply you can't. Well, you can, you could start cutting wires and putting an ammeter in, but so we set them up on the bench power supply, and then we do the internal power supply. So I'd ordered the capacitors, because one of the capacitors, the 2200 microfarad one, is a can type, what they call snap-in. So I had to order one of those, I expect to do that. So started yesterday putting the power supply back together, switched it on, wouldn't go above 10 volts. Right. Aerial instead. Switch the test gear off. What about yesterday then, when we got a Roger on that Cybernet ZX1 emergency set? 19, Roger. Not even any swearing. No bucket mouths, no music players. Don't they get out of bed at this time? Right, well there we are. Very, very nice Fidelity 2000. These were £89.99 at the time. Thank you for watching.